It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York
Giant Pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live on this Tuesday morning, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. John Schmeelk, Matthew Citak with you. We're taking your calls at 201-939-4513. We'll do a lot of calls today, folks. We'll get them in. Continue to wrap up the Giants' loss over the weekend to the Cincinnati Bengals, and we'll look ahead to the Giants game this week against the Philadelphia Eagles, the old friends coming to town. Mr. Citak, I kind of gave my spiel about the game yesterday with Paul, so I don't feel like I have much to add off what I said yesterday. So I will leave the floor to you as to what you think were some of your keys from the game and anything else you want to get off your chest.
Okay. Should I start with the good or the bad?
You can start wherever you want.
All right. I'm going to start with the good. I know we don't want to hear too much positivity, but it was a rough loss, but the defense, and I'm sure you guys spoke about this yesterday. But
Sure. The
defense deserves a ton of credit for what they did against the Bengals on Sunday night. Now, I've said this multiple times, you want to throw out week one, sort of. You can't completely throw it away, but regardless, since that week one loss to the Vikings, the Giants defense has been, I don't want to exaggerate here, but it has been pretty dominant.
I mean, the Commanders scored on every single drive against the Giants in Week 3, so I would stop short of that.
They kept them out of the end zone on every single one of those trips.
True.
Obviously, you don't want to let them drive down the field
and control the ball for 40 minutes.
7 times.
Yeah,
you're right. Okay, dominant might have been the right word. They've been playing very well, though.
Fair.
Whatever word you want to use.
I will sign on to that.
The Bengals came into this game the previous 3 weeks probably with the number one offense in the NFL. And if not number one, top 3 offense. Joe Burrow playing like an MVP candidate. Jamar Chase was coming off a game where he had nearly 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins had 2 touchdowns. That offense was just firing on all cylinders. And the Giants defense Sunday night almost basically, I don't want to say shut them down because, again, they scored 17 points. But in terms of what the Bengals offense had been doing, essentially shut them down. You know, they had that late touchdown, the Chase Brown touchdown run, which obviously that counts. But prior to that, they held this Bengals offense to 10 points through the first 58 minutes of the game.
No, they were excellent.
So the Bengals went into that game with an average of 417 total yards, 23 or more first downs, and at least 33 points in each of their last 3 games. The Giants held them to 17 points, 304 total yards, and only 13 first downs. And Joe Burrow, other than that, the 47-yard touchdown run, didn't do much at all. I mean, he completed a decent amount of passes, 67.9%, but for him, that was his second lowest of the year. So, yeah. The defense played well overall. The pass rush continued to, as we thought it would be the strength of this defense. Dexter Lawrence, I mean, he's half a sack shy of his previous career high, and we're 6 games into the season.
That's pretty good.
If he stays healthy, he obviously is going to shatter his previous sack record. And if he keeps up this pace, he could be easily in the running for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep, with you on all that. Russell Wilson, by the way, looks like he's starting this week for the Steelers. Anyway,
really?
Go ahead. Yeah, that's what Tom Pelissero reports.
Well, that is our opponent in
2 weeks.
In a couple weeks. So.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. It just popped on the
No.
on the old waiver wire there.
All good. So yeah, that was the good. I don't want to focus too much on the bad. I feel like that's what.
Oh, it happened. Go ahead.
Everyone's been doing. The passing game. Daniel Jones just it wasn't good enough Sunday night. Obviously, the Giants only scored 7 points. The DJ completed, just over 50% of his passes. I will say that this was his first, I would say, really rough game since that week 1 loss. Mm-hmm. Since then, he had been playing very solid football, and the stats were showing it. But clearly, whether the Bengals were showing something new on defense that they hadn't the earlier in the season. I don't know, but overall the offense just was not good enough in any way. I mean, the passing game struggled, the run game struggled. Tyrone Tracy, he looked good, but not really that much as a runner.
He's still only 2.9 yards per carry, even though I thought he did actually run the ball well. He got more than I thought the line blocked for him. I looked up one of the numbers here, and I think more than 2/3 of his rushing yards came after contact in this game.
I was going to say, it felt like he was getting either hit or at least met at or behind the line of scrimmage on like almost every single one of his touches.
Yeah, agreed.
He did end up forcing, I believe it was either 5 or 6 missed tackles between his rushes and his 6 receptions. He looked great as a pass catcher, which that shouldn't surprise anyone given his history as a wide receiver. So I would say Tyrone Tracy is definitely one, bright spot to come out of the offense on Sunday. I was I don't want to say disappointed, but I expected the pass game, especially Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson, to perform a little bit better, considering what the Bengals defense had done up to this point. And the offensive line, Andrew Thomas, he didn't look 100% out there in terms of like health-wise.
Well, he said after the game that he thought he hurt his foot on that second drive, on that long 16-play drive in the third quarter. So, and again, we don't have any word on that, folks. As we predicted yesterday at the end of the show, Brian Dable would say he had not talked to his medical people yet, and he had not talked to his medical people yet. So hopefully we'll have some word on Wednesday whether or not Andrew Thomas is going to go. But I'm with you. The offensive line did not play to the level they did the previous week. And, you talk about the pass protection. I'll just throw out the run blocking. They just did not move Sheldon Rankins and B.J. Hill, who look like basically Geno Atkins in this game, off the ball at all over the course of the game.
I will say B.J. Hill clearly came into this game motivated to play against his former team, which he had played against the Giants once before, but it was 2020, the COVID season in Cincinnati. So I believe this was his first regular season game back in MetLife Stadium, at least against the Giants. He came out with his hair on fire, clearly motivated. He had a good game. Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing because this is just another game that it felt like it was right there.
It was winnable.
It was there for the taking, 10-7 towards the end of the fourth quarter. You can't pinpoint one play as like, this is why the Giants lost, but you see,
there were one or two big ones in there.
You see that photo though. Someone took like a screenshot of the fumble on the Bengals' last drive that I believe it was Jason Pinnock had an opportunity to recover it. And, it's a lot easier said than done when you're running full speed and trying to jump on top of a football. It is a little bit more difficult than it might seem or sound.
No, it is very hard. It isn't a round ball. It bounces in weird directions.
Yeah, but, obviously if he recovers that football, then the Giants have a chance to go drive down the field to either tie or win the game at the end of the fourth quarter.
I did not say this to Paul yesterday, and I probably should have, because he made the same point you did with the field goals too. You're right. I agree. The Giants hadn't exactly proven that they could drive the ball down the field and score touchdowns over the course of the game either. So that was still going to be a big lift, but they would at least had a real opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the way I phrase it is they had a chance.
Correct, yes.
If they had recovered that. By no means was it guaranteed, of course. With Greg Joseph had already missing 2 kicks that on Sunday night, but yeah, it's disappointing when you feel a game just sort of slip right through your fingers at the end, which it kind of felt like it did on Sunday night. But
look, you had that play, you had the turnover in the red zone. You only get you can't get into the red zone twice and come away. You can't get into the red zone 3 times and have 2 of those 3 times you walk away with 0 points.
I mean, it's
missed field goal and then the interception from Daniel Jones. That's how you lose games.
It's similar to some of the losses earlier in the season when you can't capitalize in the red zone.
At least they got field goals in those games.
It's tough to win a football game.
You can't come up with 0. You can't come up with 0. You got to at least put points up. You have to. No. You have to walk away with points. And the other stat I'll give you, and this is to me the defining stat of the whole game, and I brought this up to Bob on the post-game show on Sunday night, and I'll just do it here because I do think this is a huge part of this. And given what Brian Dable said yesterday at his press conference, I think he believes it to be the case as well. So I'm always happy when me and Coach are on the same page, not just our beard and hair styles. The Giants yesterday, their longest play was 2 days ago. Their longest play was 15 yards.
Yep.
Now, they had 4 of those, so great. One of those was in that kind of garbage time drive at the end, so it was really more like 3. The Bengals had 5 plays that were longer than the Giants' longest play. They had a 24-yard play, a 29-yard play, a 30-yard play, a 33-yard play, and a 47-yard play. I wrote about this on Cover 3, which is on Giants.com. 4 of those 5 plays led directly to points. You score points in this league by making explosive plays. If you cannot make explosive plays, it's very difficult to score points. And the Giants' longest play, which technically is not a play, but it was an 18-yard pass interference penalty, guess what play led to the Giants' touchdown? Their longest play of 18 yards on the pass interference penalty. Darius laying down the right sideline, which was the right call, by the way. So if you cannot generate explosives, and the other explosive the Giants had, their real one, would have been the longest play of the game, got called back because Andrew Thomas wandered 4 yards downfield on an RPO. Right call. He knew it. Andrew Thomas knew at the time. He literally did not leave the line of scrimmage. He saw the flag and he knew.
Yep.
So if you look, it doesn't have to be deep balls down the field. I think, as Brian Daboll said yesterday, you have to get something going in the vertical part of the game. It's important. If you want to score points, you got to make explosive plays, and the Giants have not had. They've been okay. They've been better than they have been last year, even, or in 2 years ago, even. There's more of them. But in a game like this, against a team like the Bengals, your longest play can't be 15 yards. It's going to be very hard to win.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the foundation of the Giants' offensive struggles for the first 6 games of the season have been struggling with explosive plays and not capitalizing in the red zone. And that's exactly what happened Sunday night. And if you had told me going into the game that they were going to struggle with explosive plays and only finish with, 7 points out of 3 trips inside the red zone, I would have guessed, that's probably not going to be a great game for the Giants offense.
I would have guessed they would have lost the game by about 20, to be honest with you. But to your point, it was the defense. Give them credit for keeping them in the game.
The defense really did keep them in the game, and that definitely is encouraging. You would hope that the offense, with the return, hopefully, of Malik Neighbors this week, and if not this week, soon, return of Devin Singletary.
No word on that, by the way, just FYI.
No word on that. Just the return of Devin Singletary, hopefully, again, soon, having 2 guys that you can kind of turn to in the run game, even use Tracy as a pass catcher. Like, you hope that the offense will take steps in those 2 areas in particular and improve in them. But yes, when you struggle with those 2 things, you're going to struggle to score points, plain and simple. Any offense in the NFL is going to struggle if they can't create explosive plays and they can't capitalize in the red zone.
So I'll give you a couple numbers here. In completions of 15 or more yards, the Giants are actually tied for 12th in the NFL. It's pretty good. So if you want to use 15 as your benchmark. And I think if you look at the size of plays that tend to lead to points, I think 15 yards is a good benchmark. But they aren't your, change field position plays. And this is where it becomes problematic, right? In 20-plus yard pass, these are only pass plays. 20-plus yard pass plays, the Giants have 13 of those. So 13 of those 28 15-plus yard completions or 20-plus yard completions, because they have 15 between 15 and 20 yards, most of them in that area. They rank 26th in the NFL with 13 plays of passes, completions of 20 or more yards. The teams that rank below them, the Cleveland Browns, the Tennessee Titans, the New England Patriots, the Miami Dolphins, and the Los Angeles Chargers. Statistically, 5 of the worst offenses in the league. So that has been a problem this year. 30-yard pass, the same deal. Giants have 3. They're tied for 25th. The only teams with fewer are the Browns, Jets, and Titans. So you haven't gotten those 20, 30-plus yard pass plays this year, which change field position, create explosive plays, and lead to touchdowns. And until that changes, we're not going to see an offense that scores 24, 27 points. We're going to see an offense that's scoring 14 points, 17 points, maybe 20, 21 points on a good day until you start getting more of those 20, 30-yard gains. And some of that is it's downfield accuracy. They've had opportunities there, which I think is why you kind of sense that frustration from Brian Daboll yesterday talking to the media. And they have not been able to just connect on enough of them. That's why you beat the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. You connected on your 2 deep passes down the field. You can do it. You're protecting long enough we've seen the quarterback do it. It's in him. He can complete these deep passes. He just has not been accurate enough on those throws consistently enough throughout the course of this early season.
Yeah, and, it's not like we're sitting up here saying that the Giants offense needs to have, 3, 4, 5 of those sort of plays per game, because honestly, that just is a little unrealistic. But you need to have a couple to mix in with, these long, sustained drives the Giants actually have done a pretty decent job at doing. I mean, you look at Sunday night in the second half, their touchdown drive was 16 plays, 79 yards, and took up almost 7 minutes of game clock. There obviously are benefits to having a long drive like that. You wear out the defense a little bit, and you give your own defense a nice long breather and a chance for them to catch their breath and get ready to go for the next drive. And even, so 16 plays, 79 yards, 6 minutes, 45 seconds. The next drive, 11 plays, 42 yards, just over 5 minutes. Next drive, 10 plays, 53 yards, just over 5 minutes. Those sort of drives seems like, for the most part, is going to be the identity of the Giants offense.
But Brian Daboll said after the game, it's a tough way to live. It's just tough to sustain those types of long drives consistently.
You're right. You need to mix in some of those big plays with those. There definitely is some benefits to having those long drives.
Sure.
But you need to mix in the big play or the threat of a big play in order to have what would be considered like a strong offense in the NFL.
And remember, that touchdown drive required 2 fourth-down conversions. It's not like they were getting first downs on second down and third down. It took 2 fourth-down conversions on that drive, too, to get down that far to score. So, look, I'm with you. If you can live that way, great. But I think it is just consistently difficult to do that. And one other stat I'll throw at you. Passing air yard completions of 15 or more yards, Giants tied for 25th. So they're all kind of in that same category in terms of that downfield passing game. It just needs to get better, and it needs to get more consistent if this offense is going to turn the corner. Anything else before I get to the calls?
Nope, let's get to the calls.
You don't have any little next-gen nuggets for me? Usually you have a good next-gen nugget for me on Tuesday.
I'll give you one. There weren't a ton of great ones coming out of Sunday night.
Give me a nugget. What do you got?
But I will give you one good one, and this was, again, very encouraging to see on the defense. Azeez Ojulari, stepping in for Kayvon Thibodeau, who is on injured reserve, is going to miss at least the next 3 games. Given the Giants' schedule, that first game he's eligible to be back would be the Germany game, and then the Giants have a bye. So, again, I don't know anything, but it wouldn't shock me if they keep him sidelined through the bye just to give him an extra couple weeks.
The good thing, since it's upper body, he can probably still stay in shape and stuff like that from a cardio standpoint. So if the actual injury is healed, I imagine the return can be quicker just because he doesn't have to kind of work into it as much. Because he could probably run and do all that stuff 100%. He needs to do.
We don't know. Obviously, Coach Daboll did not give any sort of actual timeline for that.
Wait, there wasn't a sharp timetable? Really?
He's on injured reserve, and, I guess whenever he returns to practice is when we'll know. But anyway, Azeez Ojulari stepped into the starting lineup for Kayvon Thibodeau and had one of his best games. No, not one of. Probably had his best game in at least the last couple seasons.
He was great.
He had 2 sacks, 6 pressures. Could have had another sack on that weird play where he clearly thought Joe Burrow had fumbled the ball, or maybe he didn't want to get called for a absurd roughing the passer penalty, which
I've been trying to find.
As we saw in the game last night with the Jets and Bills, the refs are going to be quick to throw some of those questionable roughing the passer penalties.
By the way, when the quarterback that gets the call says it was a bad call after the game, that maybe it might be going too far. I've been trying to find Azeez in the hallway the last couple of days. You just ask him, dude, what did you think happened? Did you think it was a fumble? Were you just trying to strip it? We did not want to commit because he literally flipped his hips and turned around. It was very odd.
He must have thought that Burrow dropped the ball because he, as you said, turned around, flipped around, and was looking down at the ground. I don't think you do that to look at the quarterback on the ground.
No, very odd.
Anyway, 2 sacks, could have been 3, had a team high 6 pressures, and this was the most encouraging part, had his highest pressure rate since week 18 of the 2021 season. Where is it here? It only has the number he beat. Well, his previous high was 23.1%. He beat that number. He looked great. He was getting in the backfield, getting into Burrow's face with somewhat consistency. 23.1%, I believe.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
So that was definitely, very encouraging. If he can step in and mirror the production that we were getting from Kayvon, at least come close to that, then all of a sudden you still have that three-headed pass rushing monster of Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and then your second edge rusher.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think, and look, Brian Burns was fantastic in the game too, but I thought that might have been the best individual game by an edge rusher the Giants have had all year. To be honest with you, I think it was darn close. I mean, has either individually Burns or Thibodeau in a game given you more than Aziz gave you in that game on Sunday night? I don't know.
Nah.
He should have had 3 sacks.
He should have. Yeah, that's true. Brian Burns has come along the last couple of weeks. I don't know.
No, he's playing well, but the
2 sacks alone, that's more than either of the other 2 guys have had in a single game, for sure.
And I also realized they didn't give him credit for it. I thought he was more responsible for the forced fumble than Okereke was on that play, to be honest with you.
I've watched the replay about 20 times. You can't really tell who's the one. I mean, I guess
I thought you saw Ojulari's arm kind of go in there at the ball.
You did, but I think the reason is that when the ball actually dropped, it was right after Okereke came in with his forearm, so I'm assuming that's why they credited him.
He was involved in the forced fumble.
100%. There's no distinct camera angle that shows one of the guys punching it out. But yeah, it was a great game from Aziz, and it gave me confidence that even with Kayvon on IR for the next few games, this pass rush has the potential, I'm not saying it's for sure, but has the potential to just not skip a beat, not miss a beat at all, and just keep on doing what they have been doing. I mean, as you mentioned, team high or NFL high, 26 sacks on the year. That's 4 more than any other team.
And that pass rush was the main reason that Joe Burrow couldn't get things going in that game. I watched the coaches tape. In the second half, there's plays down the field. Guys break open, but Burrow's under siege and he can't get it to him. So they did a really, really nice job.
Yeah.
Giants on the podcast, everybody go check it out. Is Papa's perspective up yet, Pearson, or not yet? It will be shortly. We have a Papa's perspective as he continues to look at Giants history. We have Joe Horgan, who talks a lot about all the pre-Super Bowl era great Giants on the top 100 list on that episode. And then Jay Horowitz, former PR man for the Mets, Giants super fan, and he was one of the guys on our panel as well, so he will talk about the fan perspective of some of the guys in the top 100. That'll be hitting the Giants Podcast Network podcast feed shortly, YouTube, Giants.com, all those spots. So make sure you go check that out. All right, let's go to the phones, 201-939-4513. Donnie in Queens will lead us off. Hi, Donnie.
Hey, guys, how we doing?
We're good.
Not always the most optimistic fan, as you probably know by now.
I would say you're realistic, Donnie. I wouldn't call you a pessimist, but I would say you're a hard realist, which is okay.
Yes, so definitely not an optimist. But even though I was furious driving home again Monday night, pissed off that they lost again, I have to say, Sunday night, this is like the best I kind of feel about the Giants roster in a long time. I really believe that the roster is starting to shape up where a form of a nucleus is actually here. And I think if you look forward to next offseason, when the dust settles in May, you're going to look at the roster and say, wow, there's really not a lot of holes on this team. Because they're going to be in a good shape financially with the cap.
Yes, they are.
They're going to have all their draft picks again. I'm assuming, and we won't go down the Daniel rabbit hole for the millionth time, but I'm assuming a cheaper quarterback is going to be in place, which will even further open up things for them financially.
And by the way, there's a chance, Donnie, real quick, because I believe Ben Bredesen has pretty much played every snap for the Bucs this year because they've needed him to play guard for them. If that continues, there's a good chance the Giants might get a 4th-round comp pick too. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yes, he has. And like the things that they need, right? Like they need another corner. I think that's obtainable. You can get that in free agency. You're maybe not going to get a star player, but you can get a solid starting NFL cornerback in free agency. They need defensive linemen that are more run stoppers. You probably would like another interior rusher next to Dexter.
Yep.
But more so, they definitely need defensive linemen that can, hold the fort, hold the ground on the run, and get a little more depth there. They need a secondary weapon on offense behind Malik. I love Darius and I like Wandale, but you probably need one of those guys to be upgraded on. You would assume it would probably be Darius based on his contract status. And looking at the team, other than Darius and potentially Daniel, there's no key free agents that are walking out the door. The guys that they're relying on heavily and have invested in are here.
Yep.
Andrew's here. Brian Burns is here. Dexter is here. Banks is here. All the rookies in the secondary who have looked very good are here. So as frustrating as the losses are, I think in the past you would say that the team around them, like Daniel, was making it look like it was hard to evaluate him and it was holding him back from reaching his full potential. I actually feel now for the first time we could say it's probably him that is holding the team back from more wins and doing better, and that the rest of the roster is generally holding up their end of the bargain. And I would say, last year there's two players on the roster not living up to either their acquisition cost or their contractual status, and that's Evan Neal, who's been replaced already, and it's Daniel. At his financial figure, they're not getting the return on that investment. So if they can get a cheaper quarterback in here, and it's not hard to upgrade over the play level he's giving them, I really believe the Giants are on the verge of building a perennial playoff contender. Super Bowl contender, that's another story. That obviously takes a lot more. So not feeling too terrible about where they are as much as the losses may pain us week to week. So, look, I'm still rooting for them to win on Sunday. Philly is not a great football team.
No, they're not.
It's just something to be off with them. Their left tackle's going to be out. Ours probably will be too. But, hey, that's life in the NFL. Everybody's banged up. So things are heading in the right direction, guys. It just may take us another year to get to where we all really want to be. So thanks for letting me vent, and I'll see you soon.
No, thank you, Donnie. And look,
Thanks, Donnie.
we'll talk about that quarterback situation as we go here. And obviously, no decisions are going to be made in week 6 or 7 because there's no decisions to make in week 6 or week 7. But look, I think he makes some good points. I do think there are some spots to hit, and I agree with the spots he mentioned that you could look for some upgrades. Another cornerback they're kind of still figuring out. Though I think Cordell Flot's actually played pretty well.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks, I like the way they did the old Bill Belichick in this game. They did Flott with a safety over the top on Jamar Chase, and they did Banks one-on-one on Higgins for most of the game, and they kept the guys. They didn't shut them down, but they kept the guys under control. They were manageable. The one time Jamar Chase got that single coverage on Flott, Burrow just kind of tossed it up to him, and Jamar Chase did Jamar Chase things and came up with that pass on the scramble route. Tyler Newman actually did have double coverage over the top, but when Burrow tried to start to scramble the other way, he left, which left Chase one-on-one, which is how he was able to catch the ball. But yeah, I'd say corner, another defensive tackle. Maybe you can get an athletic 3 technique to put next to Dexter. You have to make a decision on Azeez Ojulari. He will be a free agent after the year. He's kind of the one guy that I think Greg Van Roten on offense, another guy, but he's over 30 already. Is he a long-term solution there? Could be another 1-year deal, something like that, if you want to bring him back. I know his contract's not up, but I would offer Jermaine Illuminor a contract extension immediately. I think he's a leader in the room, and I think he's a good player. But other than that, he's right. I think maybe you add a weapon. Does Theo Johnson show you enough by the end of the year where you're happy at tight end, or do you want to add a weapon there? You could try to add a big-time tight end weapon. Wide receiver, there's going to be free agents. You can always draft one. It's always deep in the draft. So, look, I think we're seeing an improved roster for sure. That's why they're playing all these close games. And we'll see how Joe Schoen decides to allocate his resources, both in free agency and in the draft. I don't think we're going to see a top-of-the-market free agent based on what they did in Buffalo. I think it's kind of more of a lot of mid-range guys to try to fill out those starting spots. But who knows? Maybe there'll be a guy like Brian Burns that they appeals to him at a premium spot, and they decide to open up the wallet. Who knows?
Yeah, that remains to be seen. But just in terms of Donnie's point about, I guess, like the core of this team, he's right. You look at the guys that are pending free agents after the season on defense. The biggest guys are, as you mentioned, Azeez is a pending free agent. Jason Pinnock, who has been very solid.
I didn't realize he was a UFA after the year. Okay.
Yeah. So Azeez, Jason Pinnock, and then you got guys like Isaiah Simmons, Nick McLeod, Dory Jackson, who, could they easily be back next year? 100%. But that some of those guys, given, I guess, how much they played so far this year, remains to be seen if they will be brought back. But
yeah, if they could get a good 1-year deal to bring them back, they could do that. It all depends on the price
for
point.
sure. But other than Pinnock, none of those other guys that I just mentioned have been key contributors on defense for the first 6 weeks of the season. Azeez obviously looked great on Sunday night, but that was the first game he really had a big impact. Isaiah Simmons obviously last week made that big splash play, but that was on special teams. He hasn't played a ton on defense so far. Nick McLeod, I think, actually has been very, very solid. But again, with Drew Phillips returning, it seems like they're struggling to get him on the field too much. So there are not that many like key guys from this defense that's playing really well that are about to hit free agency. So yeah, I do think the defensive side of the ball, you have a good chance of sustained success. And then on offense, it's basically Darius Slayton and Greg Van Roten, which, as you mentioned, Van Roten, it seems like a situation where if the Giants have interest in bringing him back on another 1-year deal, I would think that, him being a local guy at his age probably would be interested in that as well. Who knows? And then with Slayton, again, like we don't know, that the second wide receiver spot could be an area that the Giants decide they want to upgrade in. Darius Slayton could also end up from here on out having a great rest of the season, and maybe he gets re-signed. Who knows? But the pieces are there. The core is there. This is a young team. In terms of average age, this is one of the youngest teams. I know we've spoken about this before. They are among the league leaders in rookie snaps this year. And obviously, I know the record is what it is. They're 2-4, but the rookies, the young guys, for the most part, have played pretty well. And it does give, it gives some promise and encouragement about where this team could be headed in the future, given, some upgrades at various positions throughout the roster in the offseason.
Let's go to Wilson and Roxbury. He's up next. Hi, Wilson.
Hey, Johnny, Matt. How you guys doing?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, Wilson.
Well, listen, the Giants not only are not good enough, right, to overcome mistakes, but they're also the most unluckiest team in the NFL. I mean, that play with Ojulari, any other team, that's probably a sack, a fumble, and a fumble recover for a touchdown in the end zone. And, he lets him go. We cause another fumble, and the ball is squirting around, and we jump on it and just scores out of bounds. So not only we're unlucky, but and we're not good enough to overcome a interception in the end zone, a missed 47-yard field goal that a professional kicker makes 95% of the time and basically deflated everybody, and a 3rd and 13. That if you stop and you get the ball back and then they lose track of the receiver and Joe Burrow completes a wide open guy in the sideline. So, it is what it is. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to give myself one mulligan today on Brian Dable, because I said I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm just going to say this real quick. I'm sick and tired of the coach's talk. Okay?
Dude, he went for it on fourth
Brian,
down every time for you. I was thinking about you during the game, Wilson. I'm like, my God, he's playing Madden like Wilson. He's fourth down. We're going.
But listen, all right, the fact of the matter is this. It's not on you, Brian, that Daniel Jones throws a horrendous interception. It's not on you that. You know what's on you, Brian? The fact that it's 4th and 3, and you don't have one play, man. I'm asking just for one play. One play that will give you a chance. What's the 4th and 3 play? You throw to Darius Slayton that is basically blanketed. And another thing, Johnny, because we always hear the same thing. The Giants are the only team in the NFL that basically when Daniel Jones misses a throw in the second quarter, it's like a death sentence. I mean, all I got to hear is, we missed a throw to Wendell, on the sideline. Okay, so it was a bad call. It was a bad throw, but he also had a guy running his face too. So I'm just saying is this, man. It's the only team in the NFL that you miss a throw in the second quarter, and it's like a death sentence. I just don't get it.
That's not true. I mean, if it wasn't for the interception in the red zone, plus that, you had 3 other deep shots down the sideline that they could have completed that they didn't. I mean, it wasn't just the one play, Wilson. That isn't fair.
Let me ask you something in fairness. I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is a top 10 quarterback, maybe not even a top 20 quarterback. It's hard to play quarterback in the NFL when the receiver and the defensive back have the same percentage of chances of catching the ball. I mean, some of these throws, this poor guy has to throw the ball, but and the defensive back is right there. It's hard to play quarterback.
So
like
how
It's
is
hard
that
to
the
have-
coach's fault? Isn't it the wide? And by the way, I'm looking at that 4th and 2 play. If Daniel Jones looks at Wandale Robinson, he's about 4 yards of separation on the slant on the
exactly
bottom
what
of
I
the
was gonna
screen.
say.
So number one, don't put that on the coach. Someone's open. Wilson, the coach is creating deep plays with separation.
Okay, well then, Johnny, you know what? Then as much as I like Daniel Jones, it's time to move on. You know what? And this is my next question for Joe Shane, but I need you to answer me this first before I ask the question. If you trade Daniel Jones, it's illegal. It's illegal to tell the other team, listen, we'll pay for his salary.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So listen. So right now they're 2-4. And they're on life support. I think they're done, but they're still on life support.
Wilson, they're 2 games out of first place with 11 to play.
Johnny, come on. I see that. I see with my own 2 eyes.
They
But
lost
okay,
to the
fine.
Commanders by
I'll give
one
you that.
score. The
Okay,
team in
fine,
first
fine.
place 4 weeks ago.
Fine. Okay, Johnny, fine. Right now they're 2 games. At 2-5.
2 and
Okay,
4.
so at 2-5 they're on life support.
2 and
Can we
4.
agree on that?
They're 2 and 4. First of all, they're not 2 and 5. They're 2
Okay,
and
but
4.
if I'm saying if they're 2-5, if they lose against the Eagles, would you consider that now them being on life support? Yes or no?
It depends what
I
the other
think
teams in the division
not
do.
Not this early in the season. I would not say that that is life support.
All right, okay. But let's just say, okay, I'm gonna say that they're on life support, and I'm gonna give Joe Shane this scenario. You call the Miami Dolphins and you tell them, listen, I'll give you a legitimate starting quarterback that unfortunately needs a fresh start because in New York, maybe it's mental. I don't know what the hell is wrong, but this kid is not going to make it here. You tell the Miami Dolphins this. You can save your season. I'm going to give me a 3rd-round pick. And if he brings you to the playoffs, that 3rd-round pick becomes a 2nd-round pick. And everybody moves on.
Wilson, serious question for you.
Go ahead, my friend.
Do you know what the Raiders just got for Devontae Adams?
A 3rd-round pick.
Do you think that Daniel Jones has as much value on the open market right now as Devontae Adams does?
It's a totally different position, Johnny.
I know it's a different position. I'm asking you a question. That was the most the Raiders could get for Devontae Adams. Do you think you can get as much for Daniel Jones as you get for Devontae Adams? And by the way, the Giants aren't doing this trade. I'm just playing in Wilson's hypothetical world right now.
I know they're not. But to the Miami Dolphins, Daniel Jones is much more valuable than Devontae. Yeah,
But
without a doubt.
Mike McDaniel also literally said on, I think yesterday, that Tua is going to be back, that he's going to play football in 2024.
And if the Giants season on life support, what is the Dolphins season right now? The morgue?
Yeah, but the first place team is 3-3.
Oh, so now the record of the first place team matters. Appreciate it, Wilson. Thanks for the call, dude. Going in circles here.
Look, first of all,
You got to apply your arguments to all parties and all teams the same, dude.
I will say that the only difference is that in the Jets trade with Devontae Adams, the Raiders said we don't want to pay a single dime of the rest of his contract.
Well, it sounded
they
like,
had
though, that was one of Wilson's things where,
Well, no,
like,
he was saying that the Giants pay for some of Daniel's remaining contract, which in theory would, in any trade, if you pay for some of the player
get
that's
more back.
outgoing, you're going to get more in draft compensation. just
Fine.
Generally speaking.
No, I buy that. That
but
makes sense.
even with that, I don't think the Miami Dolphins or any other team is going to give up a day 2 pick for Daniel Jones. I mean,
and you still then have, it's still a 1-year rental because they cannot pay Daniel's base salary next year and also pay Tua's base salary next year.
Yeah.
You can't do both of those.
and as you said, again, this is never going to happen. Daniel Jones is not getting traded during the season.
No, correct.
This year.
He is
It's not. And Daniel Jones, like, yes, he clearly has struggled with the deep balls. He's not been perfect by any means, but
And he's played poorly at home this year. He has not
Yes.
played well at home.
But
Especially
as
on
you and I have discussed, I don't even know how many times, going all the way back to OTAs, maybe not OTAs, the beginning of training camp, Daniel Jones is the best quarterback on this roster. If the coaching staff thought that the Giants had a better chance to win with Drew Lock, I can promise you Drew Lock would be starting then. He would be the quarterback. Right now, the coaching staff still believes that Daniel Jones gives them the best chance to win because he is the most talented quarterback. They brought Drew Lock in to back up Daniel Jones. That has been very clear from day one, despite what GMs across the country might have said. That was made very clear to Drew Lock from day one. And if you even just look at their salaries, it obviously you could say what you want about Daniel Jones' contract, but there's a reason why he was paid that much, and Drew Lock was paid as much as he was given in the offseason. So for right now, with the Giants obviously still in the playoff hunt and still trying to get the season on track to win, whether it's the division or a wild card spot, Daniel Jones gives them the best chance to do that.
And James in Georgia called up yesterday. I didn't address this part of his point. I chose to address a different part of it, and he said, well, I think it's time to move on. Guys, as long as Daniel Jones gives this team the best chance to win, he's going to start at quarterback. I know all the people are looking at injury guarantees in the future and all that stuff. This coaching staff is trying to win football games. You're 2 games back of first place. The NFC East right now is not a very good division.
It is wide open.
Wide open. The whole conference is wide open.
The San Francisco 49ers, who were supposed to be the best team in the league, what's their record right now?
They're 2-3. So, guys, that's where we're at. I understand you're frustrated and you want to, memory hold the last 4 games and just focus on the last primetime game. I get that. That's fine. You can do that. But from what we've seen all summer and what the coaches have seen, I would guess, Daniel Jones gives this team the best chance to win. Are there frustrating moments? Yes. Do you wish he could do some things better? Sure. I'm sure he wishes he has done things better the last few weeks. This week particularly. But as long as he gives you the best chance to win, and you're in it, and you're in the mix here in the NFC East and in the NFC as a conference, guys, they're not getting blown out of these games. This is not last year, where games are over by the third quarter, you're completely outmatched every week. They've played, except for week 1, against which looks like one of the best teams in the whole league right now. They've been in 1-score games every week. Did this Bengal game end as a 1-score game? No, but it was basically a 1-score game for 3.5 quarters. All right? So they've been in all of these games. They're not going to make a change for the sake of change when they believe, Daniel gives them the best chance to win. Now, again, do things have to get better? As you pointed out, yes. But they're focusing on winning games this year. And I appreciate you guys taking the big picture view, and we're happy to talk about that with you guys. You want to call in and talk to us about that? That's great. Just like Donnie did, we're more than happy to do that. But the way the coaches are going to look at this in this front office, they're trying to win football games here. All right? It's the third year of the regime. It's important to win football games.
And it's also, it's week 7.
That's correct.
Wilson, I'm sorry, but to say that the season is on life support in week 7
at 2-4?
At 2-4 is just absurd. I mean, all you have to do is look back to last year, which, just hear me out, when Tommy DeVito led that 3-game winning streak. The Giants were back in the playoff hunt in the NFC for the wild card. Obviously, did not.
Barely.
I don't know. But going into that New Orleans Saints game, they were in the running. If they kept winning, they won a couple more games at that point, they could have had a chance. They didn't, but that's besides my point. That was week 13, week 14? And the Giants had just won 3 games to get them up to 5 wins at that point, and they were still in the hunt. So to say that the season is over because they're 2-4 after 6 games is just, it's crazy. That's crazy talk.
Yeah. No, I think you put it quite well. 201-939-4513. Justin is in Orlando. He's up next. Hi, Justin.
Hey, man. How's it going?
We're good. How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to give out some roses and thorns from the game. I thought the defense, obviously, you spoke to, played really well. Burns, Ojulari, Phillips. I really loved all the rookie play that we're getting from the Giants. I think we've drafted really well this last year, and I think you guys spoke to it. But I think we've maybe got the most production from our rookies, maybe in the entire league. So it's just very impressive.
Yeah, it's probably the most production the Giants have gotten from a rookie class since 2007. To be totally honest with you.
Wow. Yeah, that is just a great draft class. For thorns, I think, as you guys kind of detailed, there might have been some injuries on the offensive line, and I know the DJ topic has been kind of beaten to death, but a couple of things that maybe even Carl Banks spoke to.
Sure.
And I just situational awareness, being in the red zone, trying to protect the ball, in those situations, even in DJ's speaking after the game, didn't seem to think that he should take a sack or throw it to the sideline, but he was saying I should have gotten it out, quicker. And I sort of think that those situational awareness things and maybe try to improvisational activities for DJ are kind of struggle points.
Yeah, Justin, that was the most frustrating thing to me. You can miss deep balls, you can overthrow guys, underthrow guys. That happens, but that, to your point, that's a decision-making thing. You know what I mean? That's in a split second, you have to make a decision and make a call, and you can honestly do 6 or 7 different things, and all of those would have been better things than what happened.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The only other thing, I'm not in the hating business. I'm more in trying to improve and hearing your guys' opinions on it. There are some inaccuracy issues, not all the time, but consistency is a big thing with quarterback play. It's dangerous to get opinions from online, but I tried to pare it down, and it seems like some of the footwork, might be a little lackadaisical, from looking at the tape and, maybe processing the defense, not, I saw a lot with Hyatt, for example. DJ was trying to throw it to a point instead of exactly throwing it where Hyatt was, because he got derailed in a few of his routes for Hyatt. So I didn't think, if you could speak to those things, maybe that situational awareness to try and improve, on a week-to-week basis for DJ.
Thank you,
I'll
Justin.
take it offline. Thank you.
Appreciate the call. I'm not a quarterbacks coach. I'm not evaluating quarterback footwork here. So I'm going to hesitate to make a comment on that.
No, I'm with you on that.
Like, there are some things we could talk about. I can't sit here and, I've not studied Daniel Jones's footwork, I got to admit. So I can't tell you there. In terms of processing, I think he's done a pretty decent job done a better job, certainly, of getting through his looks and progressions this year. He hasn't been as rushed as he has in years past. Lo and behold, it's because he has a little bit better protection and he's not getting smacked around all the time. But I think for the most part, he's gotten 2 open guys. He just has missed some of those throws.
Yeah, and I guess some of the maybe frustration in that area from Sunday night stems from, as we talked about earlier, that the 4th down throw to Darius Slayton, where a little 8 yards further to his right, Wan'Dale Robinson was kind of cutting across. But at the same time, and I've seen so many people cut the replay of this play, only showing the defensive backfield with Slayton covered and Wan'Dale breaking free open. But what that screenshot doesn't show is that Daniel Jones, the pocket was completely collapsing in front of his face. Not only that, but he had a Cincinnati Bengals defender right in his face, hitting him right after he got rid of the football. If he held onto it a second longer, it would have potentially been just like the interception throw.
Yeah.
Where the ball is a sort of a lame duck throw up in the air. So,
you know what that play is, Matt? They're playing man-to-man across the board, and you're running multiple slants, okay? So what you do in that play, if you're a quarterback, you decide, all right, on this play, I like this matchup. That's going to be my first option on this play. That might be designed to be on that particular play too. I don't know how the play is designed. But usually when you got cover one across the board, you're going to target the guy that you think has the best chance of getting open and that you trust the most. And I think it's pretty obvious Darius Slayton is the guy that Daniel Jones has the most trust in. He's been here with him the longest. They've been on the same page. They're very good friends. That's the guy he trusts. So Slayton's going to be his first look on that play. And to your point, there was no time to get to your second look.
Yep.
So
it was 4th down. If he takes a sack in that play, then it's a turnover on downs.
Now
the same way. You have to get rid of the ball.
And he had a chance to complete it if he put the ball a little bit out in front of Slayton on that play. He put it on his back shoulder, which gave the defensive back a chance to get in there and knock it away.
Yeah.
So
but for the most part, I agree with you. I feel like for the most part, especially the last couple of weeks, save for a couple of instances like Sunday night, that Daniel really has done a good job of going through the reads and, if the first read's not open, looking to the second or third option and then hitting that guy.
Yeah, or just getting to the check down.
Or the check down, or tucking it in and running it, sometimes even just taking the sack. I do feel like he has, as the season has progressed, he has gotten better in that. In week 1, it wasn't great.
Man, Brian Dable has said that his decision-making for the most part, in terms of going to the right guy, has been pretty good this year.
Yeah.
He's been happy with that. So
I don't think that is, the big issue with Daniel Jones' performance.
It's been more the physical accuracy, which earlier in his career I don't think has been as big of a problem, which is why it's weird that it's popping up now. But who knows?
I don't want to use this as an excuse, but again,
ACL.
The guy
who knows?
tore his ACL less than a year ago. We're coming up in a couple weeks to the 1 year mark from when he tore his ACL, and the guy has been pretty much full go from day one of training camp. Like, yes, health wise he's okay, but like it's still gonna take some time to get back into the full 100% form that we pre-injury. Like, it's just the simple fact of a injury that serious. It takes some time to shake off the rust. I don't want to keep using that as an excuse, because it's not just an overall excuse for every part of his game, but there are parts of his game where that rust is still gonna play a factor.
201-939-4513. Len in Columbia, Maryland. Well, probably our last call of the show. We'll see how it goes. Len, what's going on?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
We're great. How are you, Len?
Good. Hanging in there. Hey, quick shout-out. Your colleague at Giants.com, Michael Eisen, writes a really informative and entertaining article the day after the ball game called News and Notes.
Yep.
News and Notes.
Yeah,
News
Notes
and
and Stats.
Notes and Stats. Sorry, there you go.
Thank you. Just a great column. I love that.
I will pass that on. Michael Eisen's office is literally across the hall from me, Len. I can shout out the door right now if you want me to, and I will let him know that you're a big fan of the article.
John, before you do that, are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening. I got you.
Okay, I was going to say, I remember talking to Eisen on your show back in the early days.
Mike used to join us, and
you had him on. I don't think he liked, I don't think he liked the gig, but I do remember talking to him. But anyway, that article is.
Your sense might be right, Len.
Oh, I know I was right. I didn't.
We also have Mike on every year when he's out at the owner meetings in February. He always calls in when he's out there at the owners meeting. So.
There you go. Terrific article, by the way. He pointed out one thing this week. 86 years. I mean, we're breaking records, guys. 86 years since opposing quarterback has run for a touchdown at that distance or more.
Not the record you want to set, though, Len.
No, I know. That's what I mean. A couple of quick comments. To say this game coming up on Sunday is big is an understatement.
Oh, it's huge.
I know, we're talking about life support and so forth, but
only one person's talking about life support. Only one person's talking about life support.
I'm not going to use those words, but this is pretty big. I mean, 0-3 in the division. If you're thinking playoffs, if you're thinking winning more games than you did last year, then it's just another game.
Yeah, Len, I think you hit it well. The 2-5 would hurt, certainly, but the 0-3 in the division would be, I'm not going to say like kneecapping, but it would be really, really tough to recover from an 0-3 start in the division. That's a very good point.
My goodness.
Very good point.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. As you know, John, I've been playing them 3 at a time. Seattle, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, go 2-1, but having to, we got to win the Philly game, and then look to the next 3, go at least 2-1 with winning the Washington game, and then before you know it, if you do that, you're at the bye and you're 5-5, and that's how I hope it plays out.
Yeah, Len, let me put it this way: you have to. I would like to get both of them. But I will say this: you must defeat either the Commanders or the Eagles at home in your next 2 games against those teams. You have to get one of them, and you might have to get 2, but you have to get 1, and 2 would be really, really nice.
It hasn't been said in these words in a long time on the show, John, but the road to the playoffs goes through the division.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to have a wild card team out of the NFC East. Hell, you might have 3 wild card teams out of the NFC North the way that division's going. It's crazy.
Doing good. Listen, best thing I want to say about the offensive line, better than last year. I'm not going overboard on this.
No, you shouldn't.
I'm concerned about the run game. I'm concerned about the interior. The Eagles are big and strong and powerful inside. They're gonna push us around on Sunday.
The question is whether or not someone winds Jalen Carter up before the game. Because when he's wound up and he's like ready to go, he can be awesome, but he is very inconsistent with that intensity.
Well, that's true. We keep our fingers crossed on that one. But that's gonna be a tough part. And if Andrew can't play, I mean, what can you say? I mean, the drop-off is, it's Grand Canyon,
So, Len, I have a question for you, because Paul and I were debating this yesterday, and then I have one more question for you before we say goodbye. Yeah. What do you think, if Andrew Thomas can't play, do you think it's Neal at right tackle, Illuminor at left tackle, or is it just Azudu shifting in at left tackle? What do you think they would do?
I think they would put. I'll tell you what I think they would do, and then I'll tell you what I would do.
Sure, go ahead.
They're gonna start Azudu at left tackle. Now I don't know whether he's going to last there or not.
That would be my guess too, Len. I don't know. I don't know either, but that would also be my guess. How about you, Matt?
I wouldn't do that.
Here.
I wouldn't do that.
Just put Azudu in. Switch, because then you're changing two potential spots on the starting line instead of just one.
But do I think the better question? Do I think Evan Neal right now is a better tackle than Josh Azudu? I think probably. I'm not sure.
For what I just said, that's again not what I'm not saying that I would do that. I'm just saying this is what I think.
Correct.
They will. The coaching staff.
Yes,
will
I agree.
Yeah. All right. I want to respond to Matt.
Yeah,
Matt,
go ahead.
I don't want to see Azudu on the field. I don't want to see him on the field. I'm not a big. I gave up on him. I don't want to see him on the field. If it takes two changes, it takes two changes. He's going to get your quarterback hurt out there.
Hey, look, Len, to me, the most important thing you can do is get your best five out there on the field. However you do it, you want your best five out there.
Yeah. Hey, one more quick thing.
Yes, and then I have a question for you.
Okay, I watched a replay of the game. I'm sorry I did it because I saw the two worst plays in the season from the Giants. One, Daniel's interception. I mean, just 10 seconds. God, we're in the red zone. First down in the red zone. First down.
Len, I said it yesterday. If you take the sack, it's 2nd and 17, and you're fine. You can get 8 yards on the next play, and then you're 3rd and 9 from the wherever you are, 3rd and 9 from like the 10-yard line or wherever you're at, and you take your chances. NBC on Sunday night shows a clip of a high school game from the area, either on Saturday or Sunday. Yeah.
The clip they had was a Bergen Catholic game. They're on the 15-yard line, and guys, the quarterback threw the ball in the end zone. And guess what happened? They scored a touchdown. Throw the ball in the end zone. Come on. All right, John, you had a question for me. I got an answer for you. Give me the question.
Where do you sit, Len? Where are your seats? Generally speaking.
134.
Okay, so
24.
Are you within earshot of Nick Sirianni? Are you on the Giants sideline or Eagles sideline for the game?
Oh, no, I'm on the visitor sideline.
Perfect. So this is your job for the game. I want to see you get Nick Sirianni to yell at you at one point during the game on Sunday. I was hoping you'd be on the visitor sideline. You are. That's your job. You need to get in Sirianni's ear and get him all fired up during the game.
I am far from a violent person.
I don't want you to get violent. I don't want you to fight him.
But that face just brings it out. Just brings it out. All right, hey, let's win this game, guys. Let's go.
Sounds good to us.
You just made my whole day. Oh my gosh! Out of all the people that would say something like that, and look, obviously, guys, no violence. We're just joking around here. It's all good fun. But for Len to say that was funny. That was fun.
There's no way after the attention that Sirianni got on the sideline last week, there's no way he does that again.
You're assuming he can actually control himself.
I guess that is true.
Now, I'm not sure what it would be. Would it be like the pumped up? Now, what would be tougher for him to control? Here's a question for you. Is it the excitement after the win where he's like talking smack to the fans? Or is it like he's mad after the loss and somebody's talking smack to him and he feels the need to respond? Which one do you think we would have a better chance? Like, could he control himself less on?
I feel like responding if the Eagles were to lose, I feel like he would have more control. Because obviously he would expect fans
So you
to say
think
something.
off the win, he'd be more apt to yap?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's just historically his behavior that tends to show that.
Good point.
But again, after what just happened and the attention that it has brought from the national, media,
Though he might, if he owes a Giant fans, he might endear himself back to the Eagles fans.
maybe.
We're just having fun with it, guys. It's all in good fun.
But I do agree.
He's won a Super Bowl. Okay, so
I do agree with
or
Len.
been to a Super Bowl. He didn't win.
I
one,
do
right?
agree with Len though.
Been to one.
Just go out there and win on Sunday.
Yeah, and we'll have plenty of coverage of that game. O'Hara and Madeline tomorrow. They'll do our official page turning. We need some kind of like page turning ceremony for Wednesdays, Pearson, or something like that. Maybe a sound effect, some kind of graphic where we're turning the page. I think we'll have to figure something like that out. Then it'll be Citak and I on Thursday. He'll be back. Then Matt will be back with Tino on Friday in our normal Big Blue Kickoff live schedule. Every week right here on Giants.com and the Giants mobile app. Giants.com/tickets. You want some tickets, season tickets, single tickets? It's Giants.com/tickets. I'm going to keep saying tickets until you go buy some tickets. And then you have Giants TV. It's our official connected TV streaming app. It brings original video content, game highlights on demand, and direct to Big Blue fans. It's free on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. All of our podcasts and programming can be found on that as well as the Giants YouTube channel. So go check that out too. For Matthew Citak, I'm John Schmeelk.
I'm going to be fresh off the Mets game when we were on air on Thursday.
I'm going to the Yankee game tonight.
Well, good luck to us both.
Yes, I'm 0-1, though I'm getting Garrett Cole this time, so I feel pretty good about that.
I think you have. I don't know who you saw last time. But
I saw Rodon. I wish I
like your chances
I would have
a little
seen
more tonight.
Wish I would have seen him in round 2 than I saw him in round 1. He was unbelievable last night. He was flying. He was really good.
Good day for New York baseball.
Are you feeling good about the Mets right now? What's your confidence
feeling
level?
Better than I would if you'd asked me this yesterday.
I know that.
I would say that I never, ever expected the Mets to win the series in 4 or even 5 games. This is going to be a dogfight of a series. Going into it, if you told me we could split the first 2 games in LA, I would sign up for that in a heartbeat.
So how many bullpen games are the Dodgers doing in this series? Like 3?
I think so, because Yamamoto's only starting 1 game.
And the others
I guess 2 bullpen games. And then Flaherty and Buehler will likely each start.
So Buehler's pitching 3 and 7. And Flaherty would be 1 and 4, I guess, or 1 and 5.
And Yamamoto's just starting 4.
I guess that'd be 2 bullpen games. Interesting. All right, well,
I'll take my chances on the bullpen games.
Enjoy your night off.
Thank you.
Relax. Rebuild your energy.
I was gonna say
and
last night after Sunday night having the Giants and Mets on at the same time. Last night being able to sit on my couch and flip back and forth between the Yankees and Jets with not too much of a rooting interest in either.
Yes,
it was a lot less stressful. Let me tell you.
You'll be fresh off the Mets on Thursday and Friday, actually, right?
Yep.
All right, good.
But
so
I'm going Wednesday. Will not be going Thursday, but I'll certainly be.
Are you going Wednesday?
Going to the game Wednesday.
That'll be fun.
Tomorrow night.
What time does Wednesday start?
8 o'clock.
Oh, Yankees are off, so I was going to put the Mets in. Oh, so you got lucky. You didn't get called with one of the 4 o'clock starts.
Nope.
Good for you. For Matthew Citak, I'm John Schmeelk. Pearson, are you excited for the Red Sox playoff game this week?
Ooh.
No? Not pumped?
I'm upset that I said there's no way it'll be a Subway series, and now it's kind of looking like that.
Let's not get ahead.
No, it's going to happen now. It's going to happen now,
We got a long way to go.
You have been happy. I had to shut down Tino on the postgame show because I mentioned that the Mets, I was given the scoreboard, I mentioned that the Mets got blown by the Dodgers, and he started to get a little giddy, and I shut him up very quickly. You should be very happy about that.
I am happy to hear that.
Now, selfishly, I just didn't want him to put the hex on the Yankees because that's what Paul does. But I did shut him down rather abruptly.
Well, thank you.
But Paul will be ready to go on Friday in case the Mets are down 2-1, so you better be careful.
All right.
Or 3-1 it would be by that point. For Citak, I'm Schmeelk. Sorry about that. We'll see you tomorrow on Big Blue Kickoff Live, 12:30, O'Hara and Burke.